In a village where betrayal stripped a family of honor, one girl rises from exile with the wisdom of her ancestors. Watch as he journeys back, not for vengeance, but to reclaim justice, weaving a tale of resilience, loyalty, and the true power of unity. This is an African folk tale that will inspire you to believe in the strength of forgiveness and the courage to seek truth. Don't miss the powerful journey of redemption and legacy. In a vibrant land where the African sun dipped below endless stretches of green savanna and rose-colored skies, there was a small, close-knit village by the river. This village was filled with the gentle hum of life. People gathering for evening fires, elders sharing wisdom, and children playing under the watchful gaze of towering bamboo trees. The people were respected, and they also respected the balance of nature, taking only what they needed from the land and returning gifts to the earth in gratitude. In this village lived a girl named Amara. She was known for her kindness, curiosity, and unwavering loyalty to her family, who were highly regarded by the community. Their parents were healers, skilled in the ways of herbs and medicines passed down by their ancestors. They helped anyone in need, often giving without asking for anything in return. And in return, the villagers respected them deeply. But one day, a terrible misfortune fell upon Amara's family. The village elders, powerful figures who held authority over the people, accused her family of stealing sacred grains from the village's granary, a crime seen as a betrayal of the gods. The granary was believed to hold blessings for the entire village, and anyone who stole from it was thought to bring ruin upon the community. Despite Amara's parents' pleas of innocence and the villagers' disbelief, the elders were resolute. The family was publicly shamed and accused of wrongdoing, and as punishment, they were banished from the village, forced to leave behind their home, their land, and everything they held dear. The village they had once called home became a place of scorn and suspicion and tear-stained faces. Amara and her family gathered their few belongings and set out into exile, leaving behind the only life they had ever known. The journey into exile was harsh and unforgiving. Amara and her family walked for days beneath the burning sun, moving further from the familiar trails of their homeland and into the untamed wilderness. They ventured deep into the forest, where towering trees and thorny bushes became their new walls, and the sound of creatures rustling into the underbrush was their only company. Nights were cold and lonely, filled with the air howls of animals, and mornings brought the challenge of finding food and clean water. Each day tested their spirits. Her parents, once so full of life, became weary from the struggle. Her mother grew frail, and her father's strong shoulders seemed to slump more with each passing day. Amara too felt the weight of loss and betrayal, a fire of sadness and anger flickering within her. Yet, unlike her parents, she found a strange strength rising within her, a determination that pushed her to keep going, to face the hardships head-on. As weeks passed, Amara began to spend more time alone, exploring the forests and learning from the land around her. In the quiet solitude, she held whispers that seemed to come from the trees and rivers and the stones themselves. She felt the presence of her ancestors guiding her, teaching her the old ways that had once been lost to time. She learned to read the movement of animals, to listen to the songs of birds as signals, and to interpret the rustling leaves as messages. Amara's knowledge grew with each passing day. She discovered healing herbs to soothe her mother's aches and roots to strengthen her father. She learned to fish in the streams, to trap small game, and to blend in with the forest like a shadow. Her once small hands grew strong, her spirit resilient, and her mind sharp. She even began to dream of the ancestors who taught her secrets of survival, resilience, and wisdom. Through these experiences, Amara transformed. She no longer feared the wilderness. It had become her teacher, and she its most dedicated student. The bitterness of betrayal was still there, but it had evolved into the powerful resolve. She was no longer the same girl who had been cast out. She was something more, someone prepared for a path that stretched her beyond the forest. And so, as she looked back in the direction of her village, she felt ready for the next step. She knew deep within her that she would one day return, not for revenge, but for justice, for her family, for herself, and for those who had been wronged by those who abused their power. Years passed, and Amara had transformed into a wise and formidable woman, known far and wide as a healer and seer. The pain of exile had fueled her strength, shaping her into someone even the spirits revered. Now, her journey led her back to the village that she once called home. The once betrayed girl had returned, not for revenge, but to reclaim her family honor. Dressed in a simple robe, with her face partially veiled, Amara entered the village with a stranger. No one recognized her, for she had been just a young girl when she was cast out. As she moved through the familiar paths, she observed the changes that had taken root. The village was no longer the harmonious place she remembered. Instead, there was a sense of decay and fear. Many homes were in despair. The marketplace was empty, and the faces of the villagers showed exhaustion and despair. Amara soon discovered the reason for this gloom. The same elders who had banished her family were still in power, ruling with cruelty and greed. They imposed heavy tributes on the villagers, taking more than their fair share of crops, livestock, and even young people's labor, and all in the name of protection. The people were too fearful to oppose them, and many were impoverished, working harder and receiving less than they deserved. Amara's heart ached for her people, and anger bubbled within as she remembered her family's unjust exile. Yet her years in the wilderness had taught her patience, wisdom, and the strength of justice over vengeance. She knew that true justice would not be achieved through violence, but through exposing the elders' corruption in a way that would bring lasting change. Disguised as a wandering healer, Amara offered her services to the villagers, earning their trust with her remedies and her kindness. She healed the sick, treated wounds, and revived their crops. With her knowledge of herbs and the land, the villagers came to know her as a strange healer, a mysterious woman who brought life wherever she went. As her reputation grew, even the elders took notice. Suffering from ailments brought on by their age and greed, they summoned her to their meeting hall. The halls where her family had once stood condemned were now occupied by men whose faces were lined with guilt and arrogance. The elders, now weakened and frail, requested her help, offering her rewards if she could revive them of their pain and sickness. Seeing her opportunity, Amara set her plan into motion. She agreed to help them, but under one condition. They must first confess their wrongdoings openly before the entire village. She warned them that the spirits of their ancestors demanded truth, and without it, no cure would work. At first, the elders rejected her demand, but as days passed, their ailments grew worse. In desperation and fearing that their final days would be spent in pain, they reluctantly agreed to the healer's terms. They called a village gathering, bringing everyone together to hear their confession. On the day of the gathering, Amara stood before the crowd, her face still partially veiled, her presence commanding. The villagers watched as the elders, looking defeated and humbled, stepped forward. With quivering voices, they confessed to framing Amara's family, admitting they had stolen from the sacred granary to increase their own power and secure loyalty through fear. They told of how they had used their positions to strip the people of their resources, living comfortably while others suffered. As the elders spoke, murmurs of shock and anger rippled through the crowd. People who had long suffered under the elders' rule realized they had been betrayed by those they once trusted. The elders' words confirmed the rumors and suspicions that had lingered for years. The villagers were outraged, and yet they felt a sense of vindication. The truth, buried for so long, had finally come to light. Once the elders had finished their confession, Amara stepped forward and removed her veil, revealing herself as the girl who had been wronged all those years ago. Gasps echoed through the crowd as they recognized her. She stood tall, the pain and resilience of her journey clear in her eyes. In a steady voice, she addressed the villagers. I did not return to seek revenge, but to restore the honor of my family and bring justice to those who have suffered. The ancestors have spoken through me, and now it is up to you, my people, to choose a new path. The crowd erupted in support, and as the sun began to set over the village, the people decided to remove the elders from power. In their place, a council was formed representing the diverse voices of the village. Amara's family was restored to honor, and she herself was invited to stay as an advisor, guiding the community with her wisdom. Amara, however, chose to live on the village's outskirts, offering her healing and counsel to all who sought it. And so the village was reborn, shaped by the spirit of justice and harmony that Amara had brought back. In the years to come, the story of the girl who returned to reclaim her family's honor became a legend, a lesson in resilience, loyalty, and the true power of justice. With the elders removed from power and the truth of her family's innocence restored, Amara had achieved what she set out to do. The village gathered around the family, showering them with respect and gratitude, recognizing the strength they had shown during the years of hardship. Amara's parents, once bowed by the weight of exile, now stood with renewed pride and dignity, embraced by the community that had once cast them out. Though Amara was offered a place of honor within the village, she humbly chose to live on its outskirts, continuing her work as a healer and teacher. She spent her days tending to the needs of others, sharing her knowledge of the land and its secrets. Under her guidance, the people learned to live in harmony with nature, rediscovering the traditions and values that had once held their community together. In time, the villagers established a council made of wise, trusted members, ensuring that power would be shared and that all voices would be heard. The council's first act was to make amends of past wrongs, working to restore what had been lost under the elders' rule. The village began to thrive again, with crops flourishing, laughter returning to the air, and the newfound spirit of unity and resilience spreading among the people. As the years passed, Amara's story became a part of villagers' lore, told to each new generation around evening fires. Parents told their children of the girl who had returned from the wisdom of the ancestors, teaching the village the power of justice and forgiveness. She was remembered as a symbol of strength, a reminder that true justice seeks to restore rather than destroy, and that the courage to forgive can heal even the deepest wounds. The legacy Amara left behind was more than just the tale of her family's redemption. It was a lesson in resilience, in loyalty to one's roots, and in the importance of unity. She taught the village that when people come together to seek truth and honor, they can overcome any hardship. In her latest years, Amara became known as the mother of the village, her name spoken with reverence and gratitude. She spent her days teaching the children, passing down the knowledge she had gained in exile, ensuring that the wisdom of the ancestors would live long. Her spirit became a part of the village, guiding them to generations to come. And so the story of Amara, the girl who was banished but returned as a healer and leader, became a timeless reminder of justice, unity, and the strength found in forgiveness. Her memory lived on forever, woven into the heart of the village, inspiring all who heard her story to live with courage, compassion, and integrity.